Hello, everyone. This is Eva for Midnight Mandela. Welcome, everybody. So, yeah, looks like you guys got me on the comments here. For a second there, you had me wondering if Napoleon had been abducted by aliens, but I guess it's just a inaccurate rumor. Kind of makes you wonder if maybe there's some timeline where that is a real story. Dark Wolf's Den is in. Shari is in. Let's see, not too many other people. Preliminal. Ann Gainer's in. Oh, okay, that was a joke, a real one. Yeah, I had not heard of Napoleon getting abducted by aliens, but these days, you never know. Mm, for real, for real. Let's see. Linda Lava Lamps in. Talking about recent shifts. Yeah, Dark Wolf, we actually talked about that last week that I thought that there was a shift. So that's interesting because I hadn't heard many people say it except for one source, but I thought so too. So apparently there's been a lot of sources that said this. What is the little bulb inside the space vortex that spins around in a spiral? I don't know. Let's see who else is in. Love Matrix is in. That rocket hit the firmament. Yeah, that one's kind of an interesting story. I will get to that one. So that's one of SpaceX's, well, supposedly SpaceX launched from LA. And I used to live in LA, so I used to see those. In fact, I was there in the 90s when the first one that looked like that showed up, basically. The last shift was huge, and the changes are unbelievable. I haven't really found a ton of stuff that I would bring to the show. I did see some changes in the roads and stuff, but it's kind of subtle. It's just like buildings that are moved around and stuff. Like basically, when you drive down the highway all the time, the same old place, then you know what the sides of the roads look like, and there's just different buildings in a big section of it. Like they're not new. I don't think the majority of them are new but they're just, I didn't used to be able to see them from the freeway basically. Love Matrix is Live Matrix. Welcome. Live Matrix. Okay, that's an easy one to remember. Live Matrix that has the other channel, right? Or is that Life Matrix? Are you Life Matrix or Live Matrix? Life Matrix has that other channel that has been on and off with the Dimensional Hotel. Are you that guy? The white small objects inside the SpaceX funnel cone. Oh, okay. Not Life Matrix. So you weren't the one that did the Dimensional Hotel. Because you'll know what I'm talking about if that's you. Okay, it is you. You're that dude. Welcome. I haven't talked to you in a while. We should talk again. I was. It's my bad because I was supposed to get back to you, and I didn't do it, and it was the whole COVID, and I think I was just going through my own baloney, but I think I've pretty much, well, I wouldn't say I've gotten rid of my baloney, but I have sorted out some of it, let's just say. So I'm feeling more social now, let's just say. And part of it, I think, is just literally that I started consuming vitamin B1, which I think I really needed. And I'll tell you that if you are low on B1, you are more of a Karen than normal. And so I just like people better now. I don't say I hated people, but I just didn't want to see them before. It was nothing against them, just kind of my thing. And now that I'm on the vitamin B1, I just enjoy humans more than I used to. My Cruella de Vil dog thief neighbor dog rescue. Tweaked out girl stole my pity dog. That's why you haven't seen the Itty Bitty Pity show for the last year plus. Your pity dog. You had a dog? So she stole your dog? Well, that would suck. Okay, yeah, do it. Sounds good. Send me it. You know what? I tried different ones. I don't think it really matters for B1 that one much. It's not really like super hard to take in. I actually my favorite is I just bought the pure um B1, the just the standard powder, and I just mix it into drinks now. That seems to be the easiest because for some reason the pills kind of bug my stomach unless I took a really small amount, and the powder just doesn't do that. And I don't know what it is about the combo of the pills plus the B1 because other vitamin pills don't bug my stomach. But if I just mix it, so what I've been doing is mixing it with some water and then like a little bit of flavor, and I'll just like take a little slurp of it, or I'll just mix it in with like vitamin water in like a regular thing of water, and I'll just slurp it like that. And the other one that I like is sublinguals, but they're kind of expensive, so I don't. The powder is really quite reasonable. I mean, you could get a lifetime supply of powder for like $50, so that's way more convenient. And I don't think it'd help if you're not low on B1. I think I just was really low on it, or I have high needs for it. I don't know what, but I do know that it helped me a lot. I already was on magnesium. Already was on vitamin C, and those two helped, a little bit, but not like the B1 did. And I did take a B complex to kind of support the B1, but when I take the B complex, I don't really notice anything. So I don't think I was like super low on the other Bs. I'm taking my liquid only in liquid sublingual form. Well, the thing with the powder is you don't have a lot of other garbage. So if you start taking a lot of vitamins and then every time you take a pill, you have all that other stuff in the pill besides the vitamin itself. And I don't think that really helps that much. So the one thing good about B1 is it's not really horrible tasting. Like for instance, magnesium. Magnesium is horrible tasting. So just use the pill for magnesium. You don't want to ever taste magnesium. But for B1, if you put it in with a little flavor or in a drink, you won't taste it. And even in the water, if you just put it in the water, I mean, it's not great, but it's not like hideous or anything. So like vitamin C is another one. Not bad at all in a drink. So yeah, I did, like I said, I do like the sublinguals. But first of all, they have sugar alcohols in them, and so it's okay in moderation, but I can't do too much sugar alcohols. But the main issue is it's freaking expensive, those sublinguals. Okay, so anyway, yeah, since I've been taking the B1, I've become more sociable, which is nice, and less Karen-like. I mean, you guys maybe wouldn't really notice it, but because I don't, it's like I had Karen thoughts. I didn't go around like saying them to people because I knew they were obnoxious. But it is nice to not be like kind of crabby in my head as much. Okay, something I just saw today. Xuhantunich Belize. Have you ever seen this before? Because I sure haven't. I don't know if they like, I looked this up and there's like no explanation for why this is not done. So I don't know if it isn't done or it fell down. I can't figure out what's going on here because this looks like a solid carving out of the rock, but then this looks like stacks of bricks and stuff. So if this is a solid carving, then how did it collapse before the bricks did? I mean, if it's plastered on top of the bricks, there's none down here. And I couldn't get any explanation of what's going on. It just talks about the site in general, and then it shows the images. So maybe these are going to change. Xuhantunich, and I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right. And it's a Mayan ruins. Yucatec Maya language means stone woman, but stone woman is supposed to be a more recent name, and the original name that the Mayans used is supposedly lost. So they kind of look like, so Belize is kind of on the bottom east side of, like down at the tail of Mexico to the east. That's where Belize is. So it's not that weird that there's like Mexican style pyramids, but I've never heard of this Xuhantunich or whatever the heck it is. They've got some pretty neat pyramids there. And if it was just this, I probably would have thought, well, maybe I just forgot about it. But I am quite positive that I have never seen this. Let me find some more stuff. So, you know, this stuff's popping up all over the place, basically. Actually, this might be a better... Let me go with this image. So, yeah, I mean, you probably wouldn't forget this kind of stuff. So it looks like there's multiple sides to it because this side is completed, or reasonably, at least it doesn't have a big missing section. And this is a new kind of construction than I've seen before on these old school, supposedly old but yet new to me structures. Kind of wondering... out. The other thing I'm seeing a lot of is the erratic sized fit in style large rock wall thing. And this one is not a really good example of it because it has large mortar areas, but the ones that have it just like razor sharp tight, but they're all erratic shapes and weird and they all fit perfectly. Those kind. And the new storyline is kind of that they the erratic shapes allow them to survive earthquakes and stuff, which I had not thought of, but that does make sense. So they're like puzzle pieces. But they were only in one spot in the world, and now they're like showing up everywhere. Let's see what else there was. There's not a whole lot to this yet. I kind of feel like we're going to get more, because they talk about it like there's a whole bunch here, but yet there's only a few photos of this one structure here. And there's not a lot of different angles. This one kind of shows it a little bit better. Okay, so there you see the unfinished side. And I don't know that the finished side, is it around there or around there? I don't know, but you can see the shapes here are weird. It looks like there's chimneys on the top, then it's all flat. It's not, usually it's just kind of, these old Mexican ones were just flat on the top, but we don't have that. Like I've said, I've never seen this. Then there's a lot of stuff going down over here. And you can see it's a fairly big beastie. So this is one I think we should definitely kind of keep an eye on. Because, like, look, it looks like it's just this one, but I really feel like we're going to see more. Here's a close-up of the structure. I've seen that. See, this looks like a solid carving in here, but then we've got, like, what's like bricks or something. So it kind of looks like it was carved right into the rock here. But then what's going on over there with these bricky patterns? I haven't been able to figure it out. Okay, so that doesn't really look like brick. What about up here? Now that looks definitely like brick. So like a combo carving brick then? All right, here's another angle of it. There's the chimneys. Very nice anyways. So you kind of feel like maybe it was a carved out mountain, but then they added some brickwork at spots or something. I don't know. Just something I haven't really seen before. People going up the hill. Let's see what that one looks like. Okay, so there's one here and looks like something small over there. This might be the smaller one. So it looks like there might have been some carvings in there again. Now this is interesting because it really looks like it's burnt now that I'm looking at this. So of course that's going to, well, maybe not of course if you don't follow it, but there's a lot of Tartarian theory that there was some kind of weird beam weapons or some kind of thing that burnt or melted some of the older structures. I mean, you can always maybe argue there was like a forest fire or something, but generally speaking, those kind of things just kind of go, see, wow, that really looks burnt. I have not seen this angle yet. Usually they kind of skip over the rocks, and you don't usually see it all blackened like that. So that's interesting. I'm going to have to see if I can find any storyline why that might be blackened, but I can't really think of a good reason. Huh. Yeah, actually just seeing that now with you guys. Okay, so yeah, Xuhantunich. What's up with the moon? I don't know. Has it changed again? I just slept for 2 hours covered head to toe under mylar blankets while lying on a grounding mat. It stopped them from feeding on my energy and also prevented them from hypnotizing me during REM sleep. Well, I know that all sounds kind of crazy, but I have to say that, you know, symptoms like that I have experienced. One, that REM sleep can be very tiring for some reason. Two, well, I haven't tried mylar blankets, but two, sometimes when I feel really crappy or tired, if I lay on the ground for just like 15 minutes even, I will feel a lot better. So it's kind of uncomfortable on the bones and muscles because there's not like I really can't have much padding. Like I can just have like one pillow under my head and maybe a thin carpet. But if I have too much padding, it stops working. But somehow, you know, the bones and muscles don't like it, but somehow it makes that icky feeling go away. I don't know why, but it pretty universally works if I do that. I have to say the B1 has really helped with it too, though. So I don't know what's going on, what's causing it. All I just know is certain things seem to help. I don't eat a lot of fish, so I probably take B1 vitamin. Okay, so the thing with B1 is it's most common in like red meats and dark greens. But one of the big problems with B1 is that it's really sensitive to so many foods that will block it, like chocolate and coffee and tea and alcohol and raw fish like sushi and polyphenols and quercetin and flavonoids. So if you eat berries or fruits with it, that's going to block it. And also radiation, heat, and light. So if you cook, that kind of kills it. Not all of it, but and they've been irradiating the meat, so that kills like half of it before you even start cooking the meat. And so then basically if you're not guzzling like Mac tons of greens, yeah, you know, there's a good chance you've gotten low because all of the things they're doing to the food now kind of kills the B1 really bad. And I don't know if it's everybody, but I do know that I feel a lot better. Activated quercetin is a wonderful thing. Huh, interesting. So quercetin blocks B1. So if you're sucking down quercetin or if you have quercetin with your vitamin, you're not getting any B1. So you got to take those like separate. Anyone get the sleep paralysis? I used to get that a little bit when I was experimenting with out-of-body travel stuff. And the trick to sleep paralysis is to like learn how to like block it while you're doing it. So it's very, very tempting to say that you can't stop it and you're stuck. But if you really get the attitude that you can stop it and you like concentrate really hard at like, they often say if you could just move your toe, if you could just move your toe, if you just concentrate really hard and move your toe, then you can get out of it. And like the more you do it, the better you get. The problem is that, I don't know, there's something that makes you think that you can't get out of it when you're in it. And like the attitude that you can't get out of it makes you not be able to get out of it if you believe that. It's like the power of belief thing or something. So yeah, you can get out of it, but it's hard. But then the more you do it, the more you can get out of it. Does quercetin block any other vitamins? I do not know. That's a good question. You know, that's part of the problem is they give you vitamins and some of them can't go with others. Like one blocks the other or something. And they never tell you that. So you get this vitamin and you're like, this vitamin pill has like everything in it. But then some of those things won't work because of other things. So it's just really tricky and they're just not, they should really have like an app or something that, you know, if you're eating B1, you can't eat it with these 50 items, you know, and cross-check all that. Angels Don't Fall says Hatman, Incubus, Succubus, blah, 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 all those. Frozen, and you can call it the name of Yahweh, Jesus. Basically, whatever you think works, works. I mean, like if you believe in Jesus, it works, but you could get out of it other ways. But it's kind of like a belief thing. Like when you're asleep, that world, it's a belief thing. If you believe you can do it, you can do it. But if you believe you can't do it, you can't do it. It's just like, it's kind of like how the earth works, but like 10 times stronger. Quercetin is the only thing helping me with my allergies. Oh, that's interesting. So for me, it was the quitting of the wheat. When I quit eating the wheat, I had no more allergies. I typically just let go of trying to control it and immediately fall into lucid dreaming. Okay, that's another option. And a lot of out-of-body travel people like sleep paralysis because sleep paralysis is like a really good gateway to out-of-body travel or lucid dreaming. So they're like, score, sleep paralysis, yay. Now, the main problem with sleep paralysis is, as Angels Don't Fall was saying, that it's often associated with like old hag syndrome or basically like this feeling of some creepy, icky presence is going to get you, you know, like it's like a nightmare thing. It seems like it's just like the fear kind of paralyzes you even more. I'm not super prone to the old hag so much, but I have experienced it. So you feel like all terrified, but you can't move kind of thing. So again, it's hard, but if you could control the fear, it's like your own mind running away with you. And I'm not saying there's can't be any demon or bad things, but in my experience, like the bad and the good, it's all subject to your mental control. So, I mean, like there's the only power that's out there really is your own mental control. So if things can convince you that you can't do something, then you can't do it. But once you realize that you have all the power and you can do it, then you can do it. And whatever techniques you need to do and use to do that, use them. Like praying works great because as long as you believe in praying, and the other thing great about praying is it puts you in this positive kind of good person mode. It kind of knocks you out of, so the things that take away all your power, like fear and anger and hatred, any of those negatives like that. But fear and anger are like the two top ones and insecurity, which is fear. So anything that you can use to get you out of that, any techniques. So like praying to God works great because you're praying to like a positive force You put your body and your mind in a positive way, and then the negative can't touch you when you're like that. But you can even just go, excuse me, I'm busy, I don't have time for that. That will work too. You're just basically not giving way to those negativities. If you don't have any of the negative, hate, anger, fear in you, then the bad things just have no grip. They just bounce off. They just can't touch you. So even if they are out there, that's their only way to touch you. You're like basically completely impervious to them if you can shut those off. But of course they, or whatever it is, or maybe it's your own stupid mind, I don't know, but tries to feed all that negative. So I think really a lot of both life and the afterlife is learning to let go of all that. It's like your weakness. You let go of the buttons. They can't push your buttons if you don't have any buttons. So the trick is to do away with those buttons that they use to get a hold of you, that they use to control you. And you can see that in life too. You know, the TV, the news, fear, negativity, trying to stir up hatred against people, different groups, different races, different rich versus poor, black versus white, vaccine versus no vaccine, any of that stuff. They're always trying to get the anger and the hate. So don't fall for it. You know, don't get sucked into that script, because you don't want to go there. Onions, apples, and berries give quercetin. Yes, and onions, apples, and berries block vitamin B1. So if you have your steak with a big bunch of blueberries on it, you could be blocking all your B1. That's why it's so tricky about B1. B1 is like the whiniest little vitamin, but it's also extremely important for proper functioning. And you'll be tired, you'll have nerve problems, your brain doesn't work right, you'll feel like a Karen. If it gets really bad, you'll be your ataxia, where you'll be like kind of stumbly, clumsy. You can also have eye functioning problems, like especially movement problems, pain, focusing problems. It's heavily involved with eye function. So yeah, B1. The other whiny McWhiner of vitamins is vitamin C. It's another one, like heat blocks it. I don't think there's a lot of foods that block it, but heat blocks it. But the thing with vitamin C is that one orange has a ton of it. So if you eat an orange or whatever, and also it's well known as a vitamin, so a lot of people supplement with it. So I don't think it's as rare. If you eat some vegetables or fruits every day, you're probably okay, because usually people don't cook those. So you're not going to be killing it with all the heat. Let's see. Eliza Powell, yes, Jesus Christ, pull me out of sleep paralysis. I really think when you're fearful, praying is a great strategy if it's really getting a grip on you. I mean, a lot of times I can just be like, excuse me, I'm not interested. Just don't give it your attention. And like boredom or determination stuff works. But if it's really getting a grip, I do really like praying. Because when you pray, you're always praying towards like a good spirit, a good soul, like whatever you believe God is, it's always a positive. I mean, at least for people that are, probably everybody who watches the show, I would say, you're going to be looking towards a concept in your mind of a very good spirit, a very good soul or whatever. I don't know how to even say what is God, all that is, but it's always positive. So it's kind of like the total shield. When you can be positive inside and radiate positiveness, then the negative can't get you. It can't touch you. I saw the moon last night with flatmate who pointed it out. Wrong color, wrong place. Yeah, so a couple days ago I saw the moon rising it was really red, and there's not a giant ton of fires around. So it had been rising really red in the summer, and they're like, oh, well, there's a bunch of fires, and there's all this soot in the air. And I was really suspicious of that because I live in a fire prone area, and we've had massive wildfire issues, like a decade ago, and the sun did not or the moon did not set red, especially when the sky itself looked totally clear. I mean, there were times when there was so much ash in the air that the air looked brown, and then the sun looked weird. But like for days when you look out and the sky looks blue and everything looks normal and you can see all the stars, I never had where the moon would be like red, like really not blood red, but really ruddy red. And it has been the last few days, and it's like creepy. Now, it's been doing that the last few years, but I have noticed, and in the last week, so what we were saying, like about 10 days since the last shift, I have really noticed that it has come up a couple times. I haven't seen it every time it comes up because I'm not always out there, but really, really ruddy red and creepy. Praying is effective. Yeah, did praying ever not work? As long as you're praying for good, to the good one, then, and I don't know anybody who hasn't, prayed to the right direction. I experienced the old woman hurting me during sleep paralysis and woke up still feeling where she was hurting me. See, I definitely would go for praying. It's kind of like a shield. I don't know. I mean, you can also just say, like, you can't get me. If you have a really strong belief that it can't get you, that's all you need, and whatever way that you accomplish that. If you think that they could get you, they could get you. Although usually it's not going to be anything really serious unless you really, have some issues with insecurities and stuff. For some reason these days, I can't see if anyone is joking or not. Yeah, I don't know. Things are so weird now. It's like the Napoleon was abducted by aliens. I'm like, I've heard worse things. I mean, I've heard weirder things this year than that. So it may be, I don't know. Gonna have to check it out. So it's not true this time, but it might be just planting a seed, and who knows what we'll hear about Napoleon next, or maybe it'll be about Marx or some other weird person. I believe God is total love and wisdom. Yeah, as long as you're praying to like that concept, which is basically what people pray to, right? Love, patience, wisdom, kindness. That concept is the antithesis of the negative spirits. So if you fill yourself with that, however you want to do it, then you're like poison pill to them, which is our, protection. But as much as we don't like the negative icky does not like love, wisdom, kindness, and caring. To them, that is the negative icky. So when you think about it from the two perspectives, it's really interesting. As much as you would run from the negative icky, they run from the love and wisdom. You can't affect each other. I had it bad in my teens. Now my teenager has sleep paralysis. She says she's awake and can't move. I tell her to go back to sleep and try and wake up again. Yeah, there's different strategies. I mean, you could tell her about lucid dreaming if she's interested in that. Tell her she could launch into a dream and have control over it and be lucid, and that could be fun if she's interested. Another option is that, you teach her to just like try to move one toe. You concentrate really hard, and if you concentrate really hard, you can move one toe. And the minute you move your toe, you can wake up. Or pinky. You just need to move one part. So if you can get it into your head that you have to be able to move one pinky 1 millimeter. If you just get it in your head that you could do that one thing, just that one thing. Once you believe that you can do it, then you could do it. And then once you could do it, it like snaps the thing. And the more times you do that, the more you have confidence you can do it. And then the more confidence you have, the better you get at doing it, and you get familiar with the feeling of doing it, and you can get out of it. So the trick is to not get sucked into the fear, and it's just kind of like a mode you're in, and you just have to mentally get out of that mode by a little bit in the right direction, and then snap, it's out, you're out. Out of the spiritual demonic. You're not a victim. You're not a helpless victim. You never are a helpless victim, especially in the sleep world or wherever that is. That you still have power. By moving the way your mind thinks, you block the power of the negative. So whether it's spiritual, demonic, or your own demons, it doesn't matter so much, because either way you can get out of it by the power of your own mind. The demons do not have that much power that they can order you around, and when you realize that, they will not be able to do it anymore. It's a learning process. So it's not like you're not like you're gonna just get everything right the first time, but when you realize that you can, that's the step to learning how you do it. They don't have that much power over you. And like I said, praying works. Other ways also work. And the more you succeed, then the more confidence, and you get used to the feel, and you can just be like, no, not doing that. I do think praying is good, as long as you're praying for like good stuff. Like, don't pray that your stupid neighbor crashes his car because he's such a jerk. Okay, that's not the kind of praying that I'm talking about. But good things. I pray, and not just selfish stuff, but I pray that I become a better person. I mean, it doesn't hurt to pray for like help with your own psychological issues. I hope this person gets better. Positive stuff. Definitely pray for positive stuff. I hope for help by good spirits, God, those kind of things. Only positive. Make sure it's always positive. And I also think it helps to not be too specific. Like like, instead of saying, I hope I have $100 to pay this bill, you could just say, I hope that, we solve this bill problem, and who knows how, maybe the bill will turn out to be an accident and you don't owe it, or maybe you'll get more than 100 or whatever. But you don't have to be real picky. Just, this problem, please help me with this problem in a positive way, but just make sure it's positive. My bed doesn't have enough space under it for the boogeyman. I've heard other people say that, the fear of having their foot sticking out, but no, I don't want to even think about it, because I could say more stuff that would make it worse, and I'm not gonna. Prayer works, full stop. Don't get creeped out. Just be with our true selves. Yeah, you just got to watch that fear, the negative ickies. Yeah. Whatever it is, and it doesn't matter. All you have to know is how to get out of it. And that's the positive. And it works, and that's all I can really say for sure. I mean, it definitely does feel like there's negative entities, but it also feels like when I'm 100% positive or just neutral, I don't have to be totally positive, but as long as I'm not negative, it feels like they have no grip. Like, it feels like if they're like trying to push me to be aggressive and then I'm aggressive, like, oh yeah, and an aggressive, then the minute I do that, their power goes up. It's like they feed off my negativity. That's their food. So the minute I have negativity, they get more powerful and they have this grip. And then I feel like the minute I let it go and go, no, I don't want to do that. No. Then the minute I do that, then they don't have it either. It's like suddenly they have no power and they're like a paper tiger, just like, psh. So it's like they feed, and so the trick is to cut off their food supply. And positivity is a great way, but neutrality is enough. But, it's easier to go straight for the positive, right? My grandmother would say, pray to God and say, please help us figure out this problem. And usually some solution would come. Yeah. Yeah. And it's usually something that you could just write off to like chance or luck or whatever, but stuff. And if it doesn't work the first time, just, keep at it and try to have faith. It won't hurt. The one thing about praying is it's not going to hurt anything, right? The head bullies, they are from the dark, clear away the darkness, listen to the light. Yeah, I agree with that. Idjit Rab Trails. I have a dream of being up really high, like on a building or in a car, going up in the air, but then about to fall, but I don't. A lot of people have dreams about being in a car, and, there's a lot of people who think that that's like some kind of like a soul vessel, like when you're traveling, it's your etheric body or something. It might be, I don't know. I often have dreams that I'm in a car. Like even before I really even drove, I had those. And a lot of times the car's kind of hard to control. Like the brakes are kind of spongy, and then I'm driving really fast. It's hard to stay on the road, stuff like that. But somehow I always survive. Okay, so we got that one thing. All right, so I'm going to cover that rocket thing. Let's see, I started here. Okay, so that image is SpaceX. The title says it was from SpaceX launch. That's the thumbnail, which is the rocket. SpaceX launch in 2017. So in the 90s, I lived in LA, and I saw the first one of those. And I was out that evening, and I saw it myself, and we're all like, what the heck? What the heck is that? And that's really weird. And it looked very much like that. And then they go, oh, that's just this rocket launch. And I thought it was really weird, though, because I'd never seen one like that, never heard of one like that. The internet was out. They made it sound like it's no big whoop, but I'm like, wow, they must have changed the tech or something. And I didn't really think about it that hard, but now that I look back, I'm like, they just acted like it was normal. But for me, it was the first ever. And I think for everybody, I mean, I didn't know anybody who saw that before. So the one thing that really stuck out to me when I looked at that image again is it's way more like horizontal than it used to be. Like when I saw it, it really went up and only a little slanted to the side. And now it really looks like it's going almost horizontal to the ground. And that's kind of like the subject for today. Ice cream and diamonds, cash money isn't part of what your prayers go to. But I knew that already. Yeah, I try not to say, ooh, I want a Ferrari, but, help, I need to pay my bills is, legit, I think. I also think it's better to just keep it general, like I just, want to be able to pay my bills, I'm not trying to become like Bill Gates or something, but. Anyone seen the videos of birds flying without moving their wings and planes freezing in midair? I haven't seen a really good midair one. The trouble is now it's so hard with CGI, and the wings thing. If they flap their wings at the same rate as the camera speed, it can make it look like they're not flapping their wings. So like hummingbirds, especially because they beat their wings so quickly, and it's about the same rate as the camera shutter speed. And so the camera shutter might only catch it every time the wing happens to be up, and then it'll look like they're just hovering without flapping their wings. So that's what's so tricky now is unless you see it yourself, video now is so unreliable. I'm not saying it's not happening, but yeah, it's just so tricky. Eliza Powell said, I've seen a plane freeze. Yes, I've definitely heard stories. They sound legit. But every last one on video, you know, people hear that and then they replicate it with CGI. So it's just so tricky. And I've said before that I really feel like birds flap their wings less on average. I really remember them having to flap constantly, but now it's like they flap and they kind of shoot along after one flap. So they're only flapping like half as much on average that I remember. Okay, so yeah, anyway, so the SpaceX one. So a couple things that just kind of showed up in no particular order. So this one happened in 2017 also. I don't know if you've heard of this. That one must be it. Weirdly, it looks like I haven't clicked on that before, but I am sure I did. Okay, so we don't need the video. Turn that off. Once it gets started enough to turn off. I don't know if you noticed, but my voice seems mostly back. At least it doesn't feel cracky. So I don't know. Is it back to normal now? It might be a little whiny or something, but it's not cracky. Okay, I don't even know if this video is going to run. I was hoping it could start so I could stop it. It looks like it'll never run. All right. So basically the story now is that in 2017, when he launched one of his SpaceX rockets, he tore a 560-mile wide hole in the atmosphere. But specifically, the ionosphere is the part of the atmosphere that he said that they say it tore in. So the ionosphere is supposed to be a section of the atmosphere that the sun's radiation ionizes the atoms and creates like this ionic zone and of like electrons that have been liberated from the atoms. And so this zone supposedly is what allows you to like bounce radio waves and stuff. So the story is that that zone is a lot stronger in the daytime because that's when the radiation hits it directly, and it gets weaker at night. I don't really get how, but they're basically saying the rocket ripped a big hole in it. They said it created a shock wave that like ripped this hole in it, and the hole was there for like 3 hours. And I really haven't gotten any better explanation other than like it's a shock wave that did it. But the one thing they are saying, which I think is really interesting, is they're saying that this particular rocket went very straight up. Now, in my old timeline way back, rockets went straight up. But now they usually don't. And I've noticed a sudden shift. So first, in my old timeline, rockets went up. They looked like they went up. They would disappear up into the sky up. And then slowly, over the course of many years, you kind of saw more and more curve to them. So now the flat earth people are saying, okay, that's an indication that they can't actually go up because there's like a dome up there. And it was, the story that they said for years though was that the rocket is going up, but the earth is spinning under it. And as the earth spins under it, it makes the rocket look like it's shifting to the side, but it's not really, it's actually going up and you're spinning under it. I was thinking that was a bit of a stretch, but maybe, okay, maybe. So that was the story for years, but now the story is that it actually goes sideways on purpose because that's the only way it can get into orbit. So my old system was that the rocket just would go straight up until it got to the right spot in orbit and then it could just stop. But now, and I don't know if you remember a couple years back, maybe like 3 or 4 years back, they started saying that space is not really weightlessness, it's continual falling. So and that was on the show a little bit. Other people brought it up like, okay, it seemed like a weird, oh, you thought there was weightlessness, but there's really not weightlessness. There's only continual falling. And I'm like, that seems kind of weird, but I was kind of newer in the Mandela land, so I wasn't sure if I really wanted to put too much stock in that being related to any Mandela things. But now I think it is, because now you can't just go up and then stop at the right height for orbit. You have to like shoot into orbit. So, and it seems like it's just been the last few weeks that they're actually saying that you have to shoot sideways. Basically, you have to go up and then shoot sideways. And there's this whole storyline. And so when I saw that image of the SpaceX rocket really going sideways, the one thing I want to say is I really don't remember it going sideways that much. I remember it mostly up. I remember the weird plumy lights being like very uppish and only a little to the side. And now they're like this. So I think that it's changed. And plus I really needed some kind of thumbnail. So there you go. So the ionosphere, I've really only heard about the last 6 or 7 years. I've never heard about ionosphere way back. Let's see if I covered everything. Okay, so the story is basically that this shooting sideways lets them save a lot of fuel and stuff. But for some reason, this 2017 launch was not shot sideways. It was shot mostly up because it had a lighter payload than normal and it didn't need to shoot sideways. But, my feeling was, if you're going to save a bunch of fuel by shooting sideways, wouldn't you do it anyway? I mean, why shoot straight up if you can save fuel shooting sideways? I mean, maybe they can come up for an excuse, but it just seemed a little weird. So anybody now who remembers one shooting straight up is going to think, oh, well, that must have been one that had a really light payload. And then all the rest of them shoot sideways. So their story is they shoot up and then they immediately start curving them now. That's the current story. I still don't get why shooting up would cause a giant shockwave in the ionosphere, whereas shooting sideways wouldn't. But, I mean, I could see poking a hole the size of a rocket in the ionosphere, but that should close right away. What, 560 miles? Just by blowing through it? Seems a little weird. And it lasted 3 whole hours, I might add. So what happens if you shoot a giant hole in the ionosphere at night? Does it last all night until the sun rises? All right, now, so the next thing... Good, that one, the search engine remembers... The other thing that they're really yamming up this last few weeks is I keep seeing it, space is not really that far away. It's only 62 miles away. So I don't remember how far space was away, but they keep saying it. Well, a lot of people think space is really far away, but it's not. It's not. So it makes me wonder if that's changed. I really can't say if it has, but I mean, like, why the big mantra all of a sudden? It's not far away. Okay, so here's how they're saying they launched them now. Now, before they were saying that this was caused by like the spin of the Earth, basically, but now they're saying they do it on purpose. So now they have to be going really fast when they get into orbit, so that they'll be continually falling. If they just went straight up and then stopped, the story is that they would just fall back down, and that is not how it was for me before. So they have to do this now. So I guess the story is that that one launch that tore the hole in the ionosphere didn't do it that much. And the other story is that they go up part way until they get past the majority of the air that would cause friction, and then they do most of their turning then, so they can do the turning when there's not a lot of friction of the air. That does make sense, but it's just I just remember them going straight up originally. So this is kind of just like the math of all that. All right, so another one that was really interesting. So I guess this happened earlier in the month. And I have not been keeping up with our dear buddies in the flat earth community, but I would not be surprised if they weren't like all over this one. So basically this company called Astra tried to launch a rocket and it went sideways. And this is basically video of it doing over and over. And hopefully I won't get busted for playing this little clip of video. So I'm going to scroll it a bit. So Astra apparently is some other company that's only been around since, I think, 2016. And this is their third launch. But all the other launches were secret. And this is the first one they were going to live stream. And then this happened. So now in my old timeline, anytime a rocket even tipped a little bit to the side, or any one booster failed or got out of balance, then that rocket would like shoot, you know, super sideways and all over the crap, and it would be like a big firework disaster situation of explosions and blah blah blah. But apparently now, if one of the boosters fails or is weak, not too much happens, and except for it goes sideways like this off the launch pad. So another thing that the flat earthers have been really pushing as their theory of how rockets work, and I would have not put stock in this except for this world is really freaking weird, and it's not like my old world. My old world, I've said before, it really seemed like rockets operated how they claimed, and the video of my old world was different than what we have here. So in my old world, you really could feel like a lot of blast coming out of the bottom, and then like right when the blast came out, the rocket would surge up, and it really looked realistic. And here it just doesn't. And so the flat earthers say that they think that this is really like on some kind of balloon that's going up or reeling it up, and that the blast is just for looks. So they basically blast some firework display out the bottom and a whole bunch of white smoke. And the white smoke kind of obscures everything that's going on. You can put some lighting on the smoke there, maybe, and kind of give it a look. So, like, I remember seeing flames, you know, when they would run these rockets, you could see flames, you could see, you know. But here it's basically a little bit of stuff out the bottom, a whole bunch of white fumes, vapors, and maybe a flash or two of light, but it just doesn't look the same. And it really does look to me like they're being floated up on a balloon. And so if you had like, if you were live streaming it, you could very easily set a program to like blot out like the string or whatever it is. So it would be very doable, let's just say. So you notice there's no crowd allowed. So it really does look like here, like the thing was like tipping over and then it was kind of grabbed by the top and straightened out because it was like totally tipping over. So why didn't it just like launch sideways right there? But no, somehow the bottom like whoop. So you have, they're saying there's a failing booster under here, but somehow it managed to right itself despite that there's a whole booster failing. The other boosters somehow straightened it out, but it really looks just to me like it got pulled up and straightened out. And this is, you know, this string theory, the flat earth string theory of the balloon theory of these things. I mean, like I said, I don't know, you know, it sounds crazy, but yet the more I look at these launches, the more it looks like that is really what's going on. And this one, this month, like really looks like that. So I think there's some more video over here from further away. So they expect it to go up, it doesn't. So here it is. It's still going sideways. So they're saying that it almost got, with just the functioning boosters it did have, it just went up slower. But they're claiming that it did get up pretty far, but they were afraid it wouldn't quite make it, so they aborted it and had it go and crash into a safe area. But really, I mean, it just going up also, it just looks like it's on a balloon. I don't know what to say about this stuff, but the more I see it, the more it looks like on a balloon. And it doesn't look like my old stuff. You know, my old stuff looked realistic. This just doesn't look realistic. Yeah, you know, you guys are going to regret telling spooky stories at night before bed. So you better just switch over to like flat earth and stuff because it's like less spooky. Okay, I'm clicking on Shari's link, but I don't know what it's going to be. Tardrart rouge. Okay, so what? It's some place with a bunch of pink sand, it looks like. Tardrart rouge. Okay, so some of it doesn't look very pink. Some of it looks kind of pink. All right, so from experience, I'm going to say that you're going to get this range, but over time it's going to get more rouge probably, because that's kind of how we see it. It comes in, it's just a little bit pink, and then next year it's a little bit more pink, and then like 5 years from now it's pretty effing pink. Some of these don't look that pink, and some look like really pink sands. All right, let me just see what it says it is. Moulin Rouge, Entrade, no, Tardrart Rouge. Red Mountain or Southern Tardrart or Algerian Tardrart. Mountain range in southeastern Algeria, part of the Algerian desert. Never heard of that. Rich array of rock art, geography. 15 to 30 kilometers large. Let's get the rest of the wiki here. Mars on Earth. Oh, interesting. View of it here. So more neato rock formations. This timeline loves that stuff. Well, not much in the wiki. Maybe it's fresh off the presses. Fossil drainage networks resulting in deep gorges. Erosion has formed a number of natural arches. Look, there's like almost nothing as far as images here. You ever notice the rock art is a little better looking? I mean, it was really pretty lame in my old timeline compared to now. So now it's kind of intermediate, but it's definitely better than it was. The quality of a lot of these images of just the art itself, the drawing skill has improved quite a bit. So like the absolute best stuff from my old timeline is like standard in this timeline. Let me just run and see what other images we can scrape up here. So Mars on Earth, I wonder what that circle thing is. It looks like it's some kind of petroglyph thing here. So very reddish, I think, is the storyline we're going to get. Yeah, definitely neat. We're going to find out they filmed all the Mars lander stuff on there. I wouldn't be surprised. Ooh, it looks like it's, look at that one, looks like it's giving you the finger. What's up with all the white trucks? You can only go to Tardrart and Rouge if you have a white truck. I hope that they change the name of it in the new timeline, because that one's kind of hard to say. Tardrart. Who knows if I'm pronouncing it right also. Huh, interesting. So it has water too. That's neat right there. So it's like kind of like a little Grand Canyon, only even more studly. Neat. Okay, cool. See what you guys are talking about. Ted, I'll write that one down. Ted Art. There's a very disturbing video of a newborn with parents who got the jabbity jab. On TikTok, the baby has black eyes and he can't keep his neck straight. Looking around. I noticed there's just a lot of images of people with the black eyes. And in this timeline, you can tattoo your eyeballs. And you couldn't do that in my old timeline. So people have tattooed their eyeballs black. There's a name terminology for the strobe whim flap effect. Yeah, I know. I've seen that. Something synchrony or something. I can't remember it now. Someone came back to life for me recently. That would be really creepy. I have not had that happen yet to me. Dog the Bounty Hunter had died for me a few years ago, not long after his wife. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, he didn't for me. Yeah, he is. He's still alive. You know, I haven't heard from him since his wife died, and he got with some other girl in like 3 months, and his family was his kids were all horrified. But then I hadn't heard anything since then. Yes, your voice is not as deep as it last week. Somehow it doesn't quite feel normal, but it's not all cracky feeling, at least. I don't know. I feel like my voice is a little different every timeline or something. It's just, I can't quite get used to it. Yeah, Betty White died is a fairly commonly heard alive again. A lot of people remember her dying. I think I do, but I'm just not 100% on that, and just not really, I didn't really pay attention that much. It kind of sounds right, but in 1930, the Indiana, this is another link that Shari just put on. In 1930, the Indiana Bell building was rotated 90 degrees while everyone inside still worked. I did see this somewhere. There's like a whole bunch of these popping up now that they're putting buildings like on boats and shipping them, and they're rotating and they're lifting them and all this stuff that none of that was in my old timeline. It's creepy. So apparently the story is they rotated this and everybody was in there working, and they just rotated it like really slowly. They rotated an 8-story, 11,000-ton building a full 90 degrees in order to allow the construction of a second building on the site. The company needed more office space. Check out a time lapse below by Reddit user How Much Banana. So supposedly they slid it like that much. It's totally insane. They're way more better at that stuff here than I don't know what to say. I actually just stopped covering these because there's like so many of them now. Somebody's like, if they were in there working, how did they go to the bathroom? And run next door, figure out where the entrance was when they came back. Yeah, there are some questions. I mean, did they not have electricity then? Or did they put in some kind of generators? Or, during the day, did they really not have to have electricity that much? Or... Did anyone ever hear of the Northern Lights moving south? Okay, well, the Northern Lights, that is not a really popular Mandela, but I have heard people say it. And I only remember the Northern Lights being the Northern Lights at the North Pole. But now they're on the South Pole too. That's been a while. For quite a number of years, they've also been... The aurora has been on both ends. Now, there really would be no reason to call it the Northern Lights if it was just as much on the South Pole as on the North Pole. But it is now. Not as much bass your voice tonight. Same pitch and tone, just minus about 0.3 decibels. Could be. We'll keep an eye on it, Angels, and let me know if it changes again. I don't know. It feels like every few months it's a slightly different voice. It's kind of weird. I don't know. My hearing is changing. My voice is changing. Betty White, Ed Asner, and Billy Graham keep dying and coming back. Now, I don't know about Ed Asner. I don't recall hearing about him, but Billy Graham is really popular alive again. Really popular. Aurora Borealis is north, Aurora Australis is south. Okay, well, for me, there was just the one. OSHA would never have approved. Oh, I got 610 yens, I think that is. Thank you very much, newbie123. Very much appreciate it. OSHA would have never permitted the moving an occupied building. I don't know, it was a long time ago, and I'll tell you that safety laws were quite flimsy back then, so it could have been. I still feel like it's fishy, but who the heck knows. Here in San Diego, a house on Mount Helix rotates. I assume it's a house, and it was built that way, with the structure that allows that stiffness. I think it would be in the old tech, and you have this giant building that was never intended to get moving. It just wasn't a thing before, though. That's really the main thing. And you'll see these freaking things like 3-story houses on like boats and stuff. It's just craziness. Nowadays, you see it, I mean. Check out the new World Trade Center. There are either new buildings there or there are plans for building new buildings. I didn't have time to research it. Huh. Okay, I'll have to check it out if it's kind of complicated. I'm assuming you mean now versus in the past. It's like, do you mean changes to the past or the present or the future? You gotta be specific now. Could be any of the above when we're talking Mandela. All right, so I think that's all I had to say about the rockets. Okay, here's one I'm pretty sure I covered before but didn't find much. But I've been watching this one because I just felt like it had to come. And I've been joking about it for like 2 years, and it has arrived. Snake oil is now good. And I just felt like the way the Mandela works, that was coming, that snake oil was going to be good. And I have checked it repeatedly through the last few years. And every time I checked, I could not find anything that snake oil was good. It is now legit medication. Okay? And I actually wasn't even looking for this. I stumbled on it after having looked on it so many times. Snake oil is now good for you. So, of course, there's a little storyline behind it. Snake oil has long been deemed a fake medicine, but it is not guilty. It really does cure. So the story now is that snake oil, like the oil of a snake made from water snakes in China, is very high in omega-3s, like very high. So it's like it's like a fish oil supplement or something. Especially if you were low in omega-3s, it's really going to help you out. So, but the story is that they would bring this snake oil from China and it was very effective. But then they tried to replicate it in America and they would use rattlesnakes. And rattlesnakes are not high in omega-3. I think it was 3s. Was it 3s or 6s? I think it was 3s. So rattlesnakes are not high in omega-3s. So then it didn't really work. It didn't do anything. So then it's like, oh, well, that's why it got this bad reputation, because it was an imperfect copy of the real deal. The real snake oil is good for you. So they're talking about the history. Snake oil sails across the Pacific. Let's see. The snake oil used in ancient Chinese folk remedies has been used to successfully treat joint pain, such as arthritis, bursitis, and other joint pains for almost 3,000 years. The answer to this problem lies in the fact that in the late 19th century, Americans stopped using the traditional Chinese snake oil and began taking oil from the readily available American rattlesnake. To traditional Chinese medicine, fats were extracted from the Chinese water snake, which full of omega-3 fatty acids, proven to reduce inflammation, which can lead to arthritis. So this has been known since the 1980s. Now, I told you I've been researching, looking for this. I felt like it was coming because it's like the Mandela is like trolling us. And I'm like, if it's made bats not be blind and all this other stuff, there's only a few things it hasn't done. It hasn't made pigs fly yet. And it hasn't made unicorns. But I felt like this was way more doable to say, oh, wait a minute, snake oil is good for you. So it is. The 1980s experiments were conducted by Professor Richard Koonin, a California psychiatrist with a background with neurophysiological research. Claims old snake oil salesmen might have been peddling rich sources of omega-3s found in cold-blooded creatures inhabiting cooler environments. Then he talks about how he tested them and they came up the Chinese ones came up really high in eicosapentaenoic acid, which is EPA, one of two types of omega-3 fatty acids most readily used by our bodies. So it's not just any old omega-3s, it's EPA. And if you guys are like all into the health food stuff, you've heard of this EPA stuff. So rattlesnakes have a mediocre amount of EPA. Salmon has a high amount, but snake oil has even higher than salmon. All right, so anyways, so snake oil's good now. Don't say you're surprised, because you know you're not. We knew this was coming. Okay, Shari says it's present time they're going to build some structures. I wonder if they're going to look like anything. It seems like the stuff that's going up is all like a foreshadow. There's something about that area, the 119, but say it in reverse. The 9-1-1 or the 119. I'm going to say 119 to dodge the AI algorithms. It hates the 119. So like we were saying that the current tower there looks like a syringe. I'm not the one who noticed that, but snake oil salesmen are good. If they were selling the real snake oil. In India, they've been using snake oil for centuries. All I know is I've been looking at it for years, and there was not a peep about snake oil being good for anything. I kept looking. Snake oil was just petroleum. I don't know. The story is saying that they were using American rattlesnakes. The original snake oil was actual snake oil. Must grow more snakes. But you got to have Chinese water snakes, General Sorrow. It doesn't work unless they're Chinese water snakes. The rattlesnakes don't work. You can eat them, but they don't have high EPA. I didn't even know you could get oil from a snake. Well, it makes sense because, they're a meat, and you can usually get oil from them. I mean, I've never, I keep saying I'm going to eat rattlesnake when I'm in Arizona, but I'm never hungry at the right time or whatever, and it's expensive, but I just wanted to taste it to see how it was. So I'm not sure how fatty they are, but if they have a reasonable amount of fat, then it should be doable to get oil. All right, so let's just see what they're talking about building over there at 119 epicenter. Pedestals may stand in for skyscrapers at New World Trade Center. No images. Asked if it was realistic to expect prime retail tenants to occupy an interim pedestal in the middle of a construction site, Ward noted that the adjacent 119 Memorial and Museum is expected to draw 5 million visitors to the site annually. So they're going to put temporary pedestals until what? So they'll just put the bottom in and then they'll put the more stuff on later. Oh, yeah. I think it's because basically people are leaving New York because of all their strict rules. And I mean, people are afraid of, the Rona, are fleeing New York because they're afraid that the cities will give them the Rona. And people who are tired of all the Rona Bologna, they are leaving New York because of all the Rona Bologna. So everybody's like leaving. So yeah, there's not going to be real estate value. It's not going to be that great right now. Do we get oil from plants? What plants do we get oil from? I think you can from some plants. I mean, I'm sure all plants have a tiny bit in them, but whether there's enough to like be worth fiddle-faddling around with is another story. Yeah, songs that are catchy. Yeah, I'm just not using the magical words for the arm pokes because the AI algorithms will hunt us down. So just use euphemisms. That's why I use the arm pokes, the jib jab, anything that the AI algorithms, the more you say the words, they come here and they look to see what you're saying. And if you don't say the right thing, then boom, your whole show has been deleted from the YouTube. Check out the roof of the new WTC. I think we just looked at that, didn't we? Start talking about the jib jab and you start talking about the 119 and pretty soon you are either deleted or at the giant bottom of the search engine traffic ever. Are we talking about the old WTC or the new WTC? Which one has changed? They can't control the Emmys and their puzzles so they... Yeah, but if we start talking about the jib jab, they love to start deleting for that. And this is just this year, and they get like worse every year. So, just because it's okay for this year does not mean it's going to be the same as last year. Oh, yeah, olives, olive oil. Yeah, what am I thinking then? There's avocado, rapeseed. Sesame. Yeah, YouTube trigger words. That's exactly it. And the arm poke is one of them. The trouble is if they see that, then they may check for what else we're saying. And what we're saying may not be perfect enough for every person's opinion. The antenna top has bead-like things. Okay, so we're talking about the... Oh, I think I see. Did I see this last time? I'm not as much of an expert on the new one. Boink. But... Alright, so what we see two images here. So did they recently change it? From that to that? What's going on? Let's see. Bloop. After redesign, height only 1368 feet. So what? Didn't they just put it up? They've redesigned it already? Or is it... These renderings. Okay, so they're renderings. Show the reimagined spire. The former design was much more bulky. The new design is simply an antenna mast, which would be used for communications. Okay, so it's supposed to have always had those bumps. Because that was the old renderings? Oh, so confusing. I don't remember that many bumps when we looked at it. Like, what was it? Wasn't it just like last week when I said it looked like a syringe? I thought that was just like one bump last time. Yeah, you're right. Look at that. It's like super bumpy now. I don't remember that many even just last time. There's a lot of bumps on there. So yeah. So it's supposed to be an antenna mast, so I don't know. So yeah, that would be a change from just like one. Wasn't it just last week or was it 2 weeks ago? I said it looked like a syringe. Yes, good observation, Shari. Very good. Sharp little details there that you caught. These AI trolls are really fussy. Yeah, you know, you just can't take too many chances now. I already have one warning and I've already lost one whole video, and I would hate the whole video to be out. I'm ketogenic now. Avocado oil is incredible. Coconut oil. Yep. Yeah, no, it's no problem. I mean, if there's one or two slips in, but I just try to warn everybody so everybody gets trained. The fencing on top is new too. Oh yeah, you're right. That does look different. So that's just theoretical, but apparently, let's see, what does it really look like? Yeah, so it does have that fencing. I'm not as 100% on that one though. I don't remember the beads, but I'm not sure if I noticed the fencing or not last time. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, but I do feel like I do kind of remember like one bump, but I don't remember the beads going all the way up like that. Because I was comparing it to a syringe, and that doesn't really look like it so much with all those bumps. Another new Emmy, Roosevelt Island Tram in New York. Okay. Yeah, it's art generic. I'm not touching that one. Roosevelt Island Tram. Okay, I'm not a New York expert, so I don't know if I can really comment on that one. Island Tram. We have seen a lot of new islands, but I'm not like a New York Island expert. Began operating in 1976. The only aerial commuter tram in the country. Originally built as a temporary means of transportation for island residents by New York State's urban. So what? It's like an aerial over the water. Oh, interesting. Well, that's cool. Now, I've never seen that before. I probably would have. So it's like a giant ski lift across, but it takes you from the island in a giant ski lift. That's kind of cool. It's like going to the amusement park, but it's just your way of commuting. So what, you'd have to leave your car on the other end, I guess? Or how does that work? I mean, if you lived... So what the heck is Roosevelt Island anyway? Roosevelt. I mean, what is even on there? Roosevelt Island. Roosevelt Island, New York. Narrow island in New York City's East River, within the borough of Manhattan. It's 2 miles long with a maximum width of 800 feet. Okay, so what's on it, guys? Help me out here. Historically called Minahanunk, Varkins Island, Hog Island, Blackwell's Island, or Welfare Island. Okay, so that would be this strippy thing here. It looks like it's fairly packed with buildings here. Okay, this must be the tram dingly dingly. Is it? Maybe. Oh yeah, look at all these buildings on there. So a lot of people get on this thing. This bridge looks like it just goes over it. Yeah, I don't know about this one. So I'm thinking that's the tram there. Like I said, I'm not a New York expert, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Roosevelt Island? Yay or nay? There's a tower called the World Trade Center in Texas. I lived here my whole life but never heard of it until I drove past it near Dallas. Huh. In 2016, it was going to be 2 towers, then it changed to no towers, then just a memorial park, then it changed to 1, then it changed to 2, then it changed to 1, and now they're going to be 4. I don't know. See, for me, there was all this debate about what towers they were going to put in, and they were all talking about it and arguing about it. And then the next thing you know, it was done. I mean, that's how it was for me. Like, I didn't even hear about them agreeing on a design, and kaboom, we got that Ringe tower done. And there was a lot of people on Retcon going, when did that get put up? It was like instant. There's never been a tram in New York in my timeline. It's a tourist attraction. Yeah, well, it makes sense, Shari. Nothing is on it now. I thought that it was deserted. Yeah, no, it's packed. Look at all those buildings. Iceberg Palace Castle coming next. You never know. It just gets weirder. I don't think we're done with the weird either. Yeah, see, I have never seen that island, and I have said before. Now, I had looked at some of the New York waterways on Google Earth about a month or two ago, and I felt like there might be some new islands on there, but I didn't really look to like zoom in on them and see, so I might have kind of saw it. Songs that are catchy is off. Thanks for coming by. Monty Hendrix is here. Well, like inside, I think Roosevelt Island is also on a bunch of YouTube videos of places you can't go. All right, let's see. Let's go back to Roosevelt Island and see what the wiki has to say about it. Because there's a lot of buildings on there. So, and if they have a whole tram, kind of seems to me like you could go there. Lying below the Queensboro Bridge, the island cannot be accessed directly from the bridge itself. Vehicular traffic uses the Roosevelt Island Bridge to access the island from Astoria, Queens. See, it seems a little strange to me that they put a bridge right over it, but not like let you go down to it. Now, if the bridge was there first and then the island came second, then that would make sense. Because they didn't want to change the bridge because everybody noticed. Like they, meaning the Mandela overlords or whatever does it. The Roosevelt Island Tramway, the oldest urban commuter tramway in the U.S., connects the island to Manhattan Island's Upper East Side. The Roosevelt Island station carries the F and F trains of the New York City subway. The New York City Ferry also maintains a dock on the east side of the island. On-island transport is provided by the Red Bus Service. Owned by the city, leased to the New York State Urban Development Corporation for 99 years in 1969. Most of the residential buildings on Roosevelt Island are rental buildings. Okay, so there's a bunch of residential buildings on there. There's also a cooperative named River Cross and a condominium building named the River Walk. There are attempts to privatize the 3 other buildings, including the cooperative. The FDNY also maintains its Special Operations Command facility on Main Street on the island. Visitors, let's check it out. Okay, they're just famous people who visit there. Okay, so it looks like it's basically a bunch of residential and a little bit of business, and nothing really weird about it. There are 4 recreational fields on Roosevelt Island. I mean, look at that. It's packed. The headquarters of the UN as seen from Roosevelt Island. Okay, so now that's not Roosevelt Island. That's a view from Roosevelt Island. Like, who cares about that? Roosevelt Island buildings. Okay, so there are a lot on there. A lot. Well, that's lucky for New York. They got a whole new island. Roosevelt Island Tram. Pen. And Tram. Have you seen the Gilman Hot Springs Freemason video near Temecula, Moreno Valley, Lake Paris? Video? Gilman Hot Springs Freemason video. Can you tell me more about that? Because I'm like really close to Temecula. Gilman Hot Springs Freemason video. Is that like a good place to go, or is it like a bad place to go? That's the real question. Gilman Hot Springs, Temecula. Is there a good hot springs in Temecula now? Gilman Hot Springs Destination Guide. Because if there's cool stuff in Temecula, I want to know about it. It's not telling me much. Homes for sale in Gilman Hot Springs. There's a place called Gilman's Hot Springs in California. 125 active homes for sale in Gilman Hot Springs, California. I swear there are so many cities that have showed up in the last 5 years in California that I have freaking never heard of. All right, where's Gilman Hot Springs? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it's way up north because that's where a lot of them have showed up. All right, so that's a city. I don't know if that's the same thing in Temecula you're talking about, though. San Jacinto. Maps. I mean, some of these, I guess if they're really small, maybe I didn't know about it, but it really seems like there's just too many of them. Okay, so that's around here. Not really far. There's Temecula, and there's Gilman Hot Springs, City of. So kind of like, okay, so there's me, Escondido. Fallbrook's not that far. So, like maybe 45 minutes drive, maybe? Something about that much. There to there is 45, so there to there is more like an hour, maybe. Yeah, is anything good over there? Let me know. There's a cave with a temple inside at Gilman Hot Springs? Nuh-uh. Are you serious? Are we talking about Gilman still? I mean, is it new or is it old? Because I'll drive an hour for a cave with a temple. Okay, or is it new? Okay, maybe this is new. If it's old, I'll drive down there. But if it's new, maybe not. Temples in Gilman Hot Springs. Ooh. Cave in that. Is that in Gilman? Because that looks really neat. No, that's in Alberta. I think that's Canada, I would guess. Okay, I cry uncle. I don't know. All right, Shari is loaded with Mandelas. Oh, you know what? You did. You sent me those things a couple days ago. I'm sorry I haven't got back to it. Ooh. Ew. Okay, I wanted to say it's pretty, but no, it's a mosquito, so that makes it ugly. Sabbath's cyaneus. Look at those fuzzy legs. That's disgusting. I mean, it would be cute, but it's a freaking mosquito. Beautiful but maddening bell-bottomed mosquito. Ugh. The only good thing about it is you'd see them. It seems like they've gotten a lot faster. Colonized salvatic New World mosquito in the Americas are vectors of salvatic yellow fever. I've never even heard of that either. Salvatic Zika cycle. Not Zika, but Zika. What, Mexico apparently is where they are? The world's most beautiful mosquito. Yuck. Bell-bottom mosquito. Spreads salvatic fever. Yeah. Man, this timeline loves its diseases. Hopefully it's going to come up with cures to diseases as fast as it comes up with diseases. I'll be back, beautiful people. Yes, see you. Roosevelt Island, I know from the horror film Dark Water. There's a building now at the World Trade Center site. I thought it was just a park and light pillars. Yeah, that showed up a couple years ago for me. Suddenly, kaboom, boom. So were you here earlier when I was showing the Syringe Tower? Yeah, oh, there. It's that tower. Like you can see my finger pointing. Durg. So yes, this syringe tower, it looks like a syringe, is it. And like I was saying, it suddenly like showed up all done. So that is it. Now, Shari was saying they were talking about building additional ones, but that's the thing now. So UAP channel was mentioning that it looks like a syringe. So I have to give him credit for that. Yeah, someone was commented that the top of the World Trade Center looks different now. Looks like a syringe. Yes, it was me last week, but I got it from UAP channel. I don't know if anybody else is talking about it, but I got it from UAP channel. And it really did sound like he thought of that himself. Yeah, so I don't know. There's all these buildings there. I was going to say the same thing. Shouldn't that be like a giant wasteland? So, they got all these diseases, but I'm just wondering if there's going to turn out to be that viruses are really just the result of imbalances, and we'll figure out the solution to the imbalances. Then we won't have to worry about all the viruses. So I'm hoping for something like that. I think it's totally doable. I'm a California girl, and I keep hearing more and more places and things that just weren't. Yeah, and keep in mind, I've been shipping. I ship for a living. So I've been shipping for getting on about 12 years now. And so I see these cities all the time because I have to ship to them, So I'm this one's someplace in California. And for many years, it was all places I heard about in California. There wasn't a single place that I had not heard about in California. And in New York, too, there was only certain places. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff started showing up, like all these cities. I'm like, there's that city in California, and then there's another one in California. And there has been a whole bunch in New York, too, that I had not heard of. Just weird ones. Picasso bugs. Look at this, 2 hours, and I've hardly even gotten to any of mine. Good thing I didn't have too many today, because Shari has all the Mandelas. Picasso. Oh, cool. Picasso. There's so many weird bugs now. Ew, what is it? It's like at 10,000 feet. No, it's on a flower. Okay. For a minute, I thought those were all its feet. So what, it has a web also? Yeah, there's like an endless supply of new creepy bugs. Gotta have at least one bug on here. I didn't have any snakes, and I didn't have any bugs. You can't have a week without snakes or bugs. I clearly remember Los Angeles located more north. Yeah, I do think they've slipped down. I won't swear to, but I do remember San Diego having a little bit of space before the border, and now it's like sitting right on the border. And I remember Sacramento in the middle of the state, and now it's way up north. So what I think has happened is a bunch of stuff has slipped south, and then some things haven't moved, and so they look like they're more north. And I think Sacramento hasn't moved, but like San Francisco's come down. And then we've got a big chunk up at, for me, there's a big chunk up at Northern California. A lot of those regions I hadn't seen until the last few years. All right, so I didn't really... Iceberg Palace Castle coming in. Okay, so I didn't get a lot of info on this cave with a shrine in it. Is it a new shrine, or is it supposed to be ancient? Because if it's ancient, I'll go down there. But if somebody just found an old cave and built a shrine in it, I'm not going down for a new one. There were no mountains near LA. Okay, so that's another one I heard about maybe 4 years ago. Suddenly there was a big round of people living in LA said they could suddenly see the Sierras when they didn't used to be able to. We're pretty close from jumping ship. Eva, myself. So Angels Don't Fall, me, jumping ship, Eliza, and Sweetheart. Yeah, you know, we should organize a meetup or something. I don't know how far away you guys are from Escondido. We could put something like on the 78 maybe. I don't know. It depends on what you guys are. Click the link. Okay, wait. I did, didn't I? I'm in the Sacramento area. Oh, you're kind of far. California's a big state. Okay, so I clicked on the Picasso bugs. I believe I've got all the links clicked, right? Wait, did I click on that one yet? Yeah, I did Sabbaths. Sabbaths, it sounds like Black Sabbath or something. Yeah, so I think I got all the links. Am I missing any? I don't think I did this YouTube one that Shari did. Uh-oh. Nope. All right, yeah, that YouTube link's maybe incomplete or something. It's not coming up. Plus, I lost my dashboard. There we go. Went back too far. Joshua Tree. That's still pretty far. So I know there's like 2, 3. No, I think there's just 2 because one moved. 2 that are on the further south from me and further towards the border of San Diego. I know they would probably drive to Escondido. So you guys in Sacramento should do a meetup. Angels Don't Fall, you can't post links unless you're a wrench holder, sorry. Vista. So, yeah, Vista's really close. The Gilman Springs Cave is in Oregon. It's an old Freemason temple. Okay. Okay, so let's clear up some of this business. Snake oil is good. All right, what do I have left? Snake oil. Good thing Shari had a lot. I really didn't have that many. All right. So I kind of wanted to bring this one up. I am not sure if I have mentioned this one. Probably could have typed that in properly, but okay, so I've said before that I don't remember the Milky Way looking like a rift in space like this. And I don't know where they're getting all these stars from, because even out in the desert, even when I went to Idaho for the conference, and we were supposed to be in an official dark zone where the lighting was so low that you could see all the stars, you could not see even maybe 10% of these stars. But way out in the desert, you can see the rift now. And I'll say that I've been going out in the desert for a large chunk of my life, about once a year, and you didn't used to be able to. And then this year, when I went out, you could see this. And you couldn't the year before, but you could this year. I could see this rift thing. And there's even this horseshoe thing, okay? But sometimes it looks straight like that in some of the images, and sometimes it looks like a horseshoe. So what UAP channel was mentioning is he's really much better versed in the Bible than I am, and he was saying that this reminds him of a scroll. Okay, so some of you who know your Bible a bit will catch where I'm going, but I hadn't thought of this. Okay, I thought it was interesting that he mentioned that it looked like a scroll, because if it's always looked like this, then that part of the Bible would be read differently. But if it didn't always, my argument for me was that it didn't always look like this rift scroll thingy. For me, it was just that there was a higher density of stars, but no rifty looking thing. And it wasn't this high a density. There was more, but it wasn't like, that crazy. So he was saying this reminded him of scroll, and he was going to keep an eye on the scroll because of what it said in the Bible. So what does it say in the Bible? I'm sure some of you already know, but this is supposed to happen during the end times. Okay, so it's Isaiah 34:4, and so 34, I think 3 is, their slain will be left unburied, and the stench of their corpses will rise. The mountains will flow with their blood. Okay. This could be looked at in a certain way, and you guys have probably heard, and I have covered, that they are talking about liquefying dead bodies and just flushing them down the drain instead of burying them or cremating. They're like, oh, this is more environmentally friendly than like cremation or regular burial, and you wouldn't have to pay for a burial or anything, and it's really cheap, and that's what they want to do now, and there's already facilities doing it. So the one thing you got to also remember about the system of liquefying is that the liquid that's left apparently reeks really bad. It's like hideously stinky. Okay. So I'm thinking it could possibly relate to this. The slain will be left unburied. So they're not burying them, and the stench of the corpses will rise. So they're basically flushing them into the groundwater. Now, if you look at it from a scientific point of view, I mean, animals die all the time and are rotting on the ground and stuff. So it really shouldn't make that much of a difference. But I have heard, I know a couple people, well, one I know and a few people I've heard of that are saying that they can smell something like on the ground and in the water now that's kind of icky smelling, like kind of garlicky or kind of and one of them in particular who I know, so she can give me all the details, and she says if she runs water through her Brita water filter, she doesn't smell the smell. but she does smell it in all the water in the rain in the land, after it rains and the water sources. And this is just kind of a recent thing. Now, she had the Rona, I think it was last year, and then she had kind of like a loss of smell. And then when it came back, it was like that. So she wasn't sure if it was just her nose was all wonky. But see, the weird thing is that when the waters run through the Brita filter, she doesn't smell that smell. So it seems like it's something in the water that she's picking up on. And I know it's probably quite a stretch, but it just seems kind of interesting that this is all coming up right now. And it kind of fits with this line. So I feel like that's a pretty far stretch. But then this next one, the mountains will flow with their blood. So we're seeing a lot of these like red rivers now. It's algae. Oh, it's some kind of chemical spill, whatever. There didn't used to be a bunch of red rivers and lakes, and now there are. So the mountains will flow with their blood. So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to say there's rivers of freaking red coming out, so there's that. So then the next one relates to what I'm looking at, this Milky Way rift thing, and it says all the stars of heaven will be dissolved. So what are we seeing? I am seeing a lot less stars. Now they're blaming it on the LED lights, which I think is really a stretch. But okay, so LED lights are blotting out all the stars. But even when I get out in the middle of freaking nowhere, I don't see nearly as many stars as I used to. The skies will be rolled up like a scroll. Okay, so is this the scroll? Like a scroll. It didn't say it was exactly like a scroll, but this could be looked at as like a scroll. And UAP actually was the one who mentioned that it reminded him of a scroll. So that wasn't there for me before. So is this the skies getting rolled up like a scroll? For me, it does look like they're getting rolled up like a scroll. And all the stars will fall like withered leaves from the vine, like foliage from the fig tree. Okay, so what are we seeing a ton of the last few years is just a massive ton of falling stars, aka meteorites, right? But is it totally coincidence that they're called falling stars, even though they're supposedly not really stars? They're called falling stars. So we see so many meteor showers now, and I've had on before a couple of years ago that there was no way that all these meteor showers were in my old timeline. And then there's just meteors coming down all the time, fireballs. I saw one last year. I see them all the time. It used to be really, really rare to see a falling star, but now they're coming colors. The showers are everywhere. You're hearing about it all the time. So is this the stars are falling? Okay, no, they're not exactly falling like withered leaves from the vine, they're not frittering down like a leaf, but they're falling a lot, okay? So if you add all that, we've got the red rivers as if rivers flowing with blood. You've got the stars rolling up into a scroll, at least for me they are. You have stars falling, okay? Now they're saying they're meteorites, whatever. I don't know what they are. I really don't, but they look like falling stars. So if you just go by looks, it looks like it, okay? Whatever you want to say, ball earth, flat earth, whatever they are, they look like stars. So it looks to me like this bit is getting fulfilled right now. And then the next part, when my sword has drunk its fill in the heavens, then it will come down upon Edom, upon the people I have devoted to destruction. All right, let me go to the next one. So Edom is over there by the Israel-Jordan border. So if some problemos start showing up over there, that's going to be really interested. The sword of the Lord is bathed in blood. It drips with fat, with the blood of lambs and goats, and the fat of the kidneys of the rams, for the Lord is sacrifice. The Lord has a sacrifice in Bozrah and a great slaughter in the land of Edom. So trouble in Jordan. And it kind of goes on to say some area there is going to get so mangled and screwed up that no one's going to be able to live there. So I don't know if there's going to be some nuclear thing or what, but and where the heck is Bozrah? I've kind of covered that before, so I don't want to go into it again, but And what's the next part? And the wild oxen will fall, the young bulls will strong, blah, blah. The land will be drenched with blood, the soil will be soaked with fat. This soil soaked with fat thing, I'm really wondering if that was always in there because it's sort of weird. For the Lord has a day of vengeance, a year of recompense for the cost of Zion, for the cause of Zion. So a year of trouble that yields, I believe they're going to say, okay, Edom's streams will be turned to tar. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for like black streams. I believe that tar is black, right? Soil to sulfur, so maybe like a sulfuric smell, or hot. Her land will become a blazing pitch, so like some kind of fire. So what we got, black rivers, some kind of fiery thing. It will not be quenched day or night. Smoke will ascend forever, from generation to generation. So it sounds like, I don't know, some kind of really bad problems there. So something to watch out for. Are we going to start seeing that? Because some of the previous ones have come to pass. So if we start to see something like this, either the area by Jordan and Israel, or something that could be said to be Edom, who knows, but it's something to watch out for. The sky shall roll back like a scroll is probably the pole shift. I don't know. See, to me, it looks like a scroll and the other stuff's happening. Who the heck knows? I could be wrong. There could be something else that fits better, but I'm looking at it. Every island and mountain shall move. Yes, there are a lot of other ones that fit the Mandela. I think we've already seen that the islands and the mountains have already been moving all this time. Yeah, Milky Way looked like a band of stars, not like a rift. Exactly, bit of venom. Exactly. And it was kind of a diffuse band. It wasn't really like, it just was a conglomeration of more stars. What causes the rift? So we're now in like halfway into the center of the galaxy, and we used to be at the edge. And so I guess that's just like the bunches of stars laid out all weird like that. Sweetheart 11, going to bed. Good night, good night. My daughter said that after she got the virus, the dishwasher smelled much more awful, like spoiled meat or something. Yeah, my nose has been weird because there's days where I can really smell like gross stuff. Like any little imperfection that, like you smell the sink and you're like, oh, the sink smells like horrible. And then other days you don't smell anything. So, and like that day, like everything smells bad. If you didn't like wash it 5 seconds ago, it's already not that great. People reporting more about the smell of dead bodies and the rotting stuff, foul stench, in combination with the Rona. So is it that the noses are getting sharper? They've changed, how they function. It will appear that the stars fall and the pole shifts. I don't know. I mean, how does that work? How does the pole shift make the stars look like they fall? The flashing blue earthquake sky over the Mexico was really different. It was panning odd flashes many places over the whole area, but it didn't look like thunder. Okay, preliminary, what they are claiming it is, and I'm a little suspicious of this because I have not seen this on other earthquakes. They're claiming that it was the electrical grid transformers blowing due to the grid going offline, and that the blue was the transformers blowing. So now in the last year to 2 years, we've seen a lot of this weird blue explosions and weird blue business when transformers go. Like a transformer building will go out and there'll be all this weird blue lightning. And so that seems to be how it works here. I don't remember ever seeing that before a few years ago, but There was a scientist of the Horizon Project who thought the scroll is a roll cloud. Yeah, I don't know, since they're saying in the same sentence that the stars will fall and the sky will roll up. So I tend to think that the most likely guess is that it is star related, and it is, but I could be wrong. I totally could be wrong. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. That weird person. I think I love that. I love that name. That is great. I should have got that one. That weird person. That is the best signed in name. Saw 2 blue shooting stars. Yeah, and they're all colors and stuff now. I live with chickens, dog gardens, and yards. I don't worry about smells, Eliza. Yeah. You know, you don't worry about them until they stuff themselves up your nose, and then you're like, oh, you don't really have a choice. The stars are stationary relative to the Earth. If your point of view suddenly moves, the stars will appear to streak. Yeah, but the pole shifts are a magnetic shift. So we're supposed to stay the same, and the magnetic field changes, but you don't move on a pole shift, assuming globe Earth and all that stuff. If the pole shift, the shield is gone and we are open for radiation from space, probably looks like northern lights. Yeah, but that doesn't look like falling stars, though. And also, there's up for debate. Some people say that if there's a pole shift, there'll be a period of, like, no protection. Others people say it'll just shift really fast. So, I mean, who the heck knows? I don't think anybody knows. After the stars fall, the first trumpet sounds like a meteor shower. Yeah. Yeah, but it didn't really say that it has to be one then the next. It just said those things happen. So maybe the sky rolls up like a scroll and the stars fall is not like one single event, but spread out. If you look at it like that, I mean, it doesn't say in like 5 seconds. It just says that those things happen. So, we made an assumption that it's going to be short-term, discrete events that complete before the next one happens. But it doesn't actually say that I can see, that they aren't happening, over the course of several years with some overlap between them, and et cetera, et cetera. The mouse with the human ear grown on the back has changed for me. Yep, that looks different. Especially like that one. I have not seen that one. It's sticking out like way further. Yeah. The old one looked more ear-like, but it didn't stick out that far. That rat just looks gross. The rat itself is it almost looks like a giant sucker mouth now. It doesn't look as good as it used to. It used to be flatter on the body, but you saw those like extra ridges. So what it was before, and I'll have to check if it still is this. Before, it was basically that they had a plastic form of an ear and they inserted it under the skin of the rat, and that was why it looked so real. So what is it now? Is it still like a form of an ear inserted under the skin? Okay, project is growing a third ear fashioned out of the skin and cartilage of stellark. a performer who plans to implant it on his forearm. At the heart of all his work is the artist's belief that the body has become obsolete and seriously needs to be re-engineered. Yeah. That wasn't part of the storyline before. So now we've gone all transhumanism on this thing. The body off the Earth can't cope with the extremes of environments, gravitational pressures, and requires technological life support systems. Not simply a wearable prosthesis, but one constructed to be a permanent addition. The new ear has so far been grown to quarter scale. Half scale version will be built later this year. A tissue engineered ear which should eventually be grafted onto his arm. Okay, so it looks like it's different now, because before, like I said, it was a form of an ear under the skin. But now it actually looks worse, but it's not just some old plastic thing under there. I think. Let's keep going here. While it cannot hear, with an implanted sound chip and a proximity sensor, the ear will be able to speak to anyone who gets close to it. Okay. So it's an ear that speaks? Oh, this whole thing doesn't make any sense. Why grow it on a mouse? I don't think I understand. The techniques were developed to treat victims of disease or accident. Okay, that makes sense. But the whole storyline here is just strange. So yeah, I totally agree. The mouse ear looks different now. Really different. I wasn't sure if I was going to notice, but... See, this one, again, it used to be really good looking ear. Now it looks like half ear, half lump. But I'm suspecting that, see, this one looks different also. I'm suspecting that it might be more usable because it's actually out of cartilage and stuff versus just that plastic thing. All right, now we have creepy mice and a bug, so we have done what we have to do for this evening. Yeah, it used to be flat and normal, exactly. And I hadn't even looked at what you said, and I just commented. I think we're in the 6th seal. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of those that seem to have come. And, you know, there's those weird trumpet sounds from the sky, too. So, you know, we've gotten trumpets. It also looks naked and hairless. Yeah, I don't remember it being all wrinkly like that. So there's been trumpets going on for a number of years now. Weird trumpet sounds. Different cities have heard it. I have not heard it here, though. The nose growing on the forehead. I think we've had that on before. They're like growing stuff and pushing out the skin and stuff now. And, you know, they were like sewing the hand onto the leg and stuff. How to make a man's new nose out of cartilage. He's growing it on his forehead. I don't think I'd want to grow it there, but I guess they want to have the same skin as on the face, on the nose. So, yeah, we've had some of that stuff on. I don't remember them doing it like that before, but now it goes back, you know, what, 50s and 60s even? The magnetosphere continues to weaken, cause for concern. Yeah, I don't worry about that stuff anymore because half of the stuff that's in the world didn't even exist for me before. So, I mean, they said that we were all gonna like drown because of the North Pole ice melting, and then the North Pole disappeared. So I just feel like anything can happen. You encounter a pack of ear mice. Flight, bargain, or flee. Yeah, I don't take out your cell phone and take a photo. You forgot that option number 4. Did you hear the Tibetan cave sounds? The Tibetan cave sounds. Ugh. Trying to get that in. No, I haven't heard them. Tibetan cave sounds. Doink. Tibetan monks. Strange noises coming from secret cave. Huh. No, I haven't heard of that one. All right, dare we try to hear the sound? Getting a big old copyright strike.
Fear is the...
Okay, we definitely don't want to hear about that. Let's try over here. Okay, I don't hear anything. Let's see. Let's try over here. Huh. Well, it does sound like music. These sounds are coming from deep within the earth. Yeah, so even if he lied in the sound of a planet, that's pretty cool. I've heard similar sounds in a crystal cave before. Someone's saying it's binaural beats. I don't know. I mean, is that even the sound? You tell me. I don't know. It doesn't really sound like a cave, and then they don't even really have... I mean, that looks like it's all CGI or something. That's not a real cave. It's just an image, so I don't know. Photos of liquid water on Mars. That's not weird because they're saying there's like water all over freaking Mars. There's the 2 North Poles. There's ice. Okay. First liquid water may have been spotted on Mars. So they're saying that there's like frost. So a couple drops. I really wouldn't be surprised at this point because there's freaking water everywhere there now. Droplets that apparently splashed onto the spacecraft's leg during landing, according to some members of the Phoenix team. Could be discovered by perchlorate. Could be explained by perchlorate salts in the soil. Since the salts can keep water liquid at sub-zero temperatures, researchers say this antifreeze effect making it possible for liquid water to be widespread just below the surface of Mars. But point out that even if it is there, it may be too salty to support life. Yeah, remember they said it was impossible that there could be liquid water. There wasn't any water at all. So if there's water, you can just about bet your bippy that they're going to cough up some life here. Just because there's salt, they're going to claim that they can't be life? I mean, come on, people. Now they're just stretching it. Pressure on crystals could make sounds. Could be. I'm just a little skeptical on that video because there's not like a person walking through with the sound on. It's just basically a crappy, well, not crappy, but it's a not very fancy painting and some weird sound effect. Strawberry leopard. I think we've had strawberry leopard on before. Let me see. Once I see the image, I'll remember. Yeah, we've had those guys on. Light colored leopards. All right, let me see what else I got. Okay, so I did Isaiah. All right. Saturn's moon. Man, this is turning out to be a really long show, even though I don't have anything. I had to laugh at this one. Saturn's moon just happens to look like... Oh, dang it, I just dropped my pen. The deepest, darkest caverns of my couch. Oh my God, I got it. That's a miracle. That is a miracle. Let pen. Oh, Mimas. Saturn's moon, Mimas. Now, if you see this one and it's small and it's flying by, what does it look like? So I just saw this lately, and I just thought it was kind of a laugh. So I don't remember Mimas looking like the Death Star, basically. This is Mimas, and this is the Death Star. So if you remember in Star Wars, the Death Star, and they're going... it's over there by that small moon. And then, I don't have the exact dialogue, but at one point they go, that's no moon. And it was the Death Star. Okay, so now it is a moon, basically, Mimas. So the story is that the creators of Star Wars did not know that Mimas looked like that when they created the Death Star. So, I don't know. It just seemed like more reality trolling that they made a moon that looks like the Death Star. And if you look at the hole, it's like really about the same size as everything as the Death Star. So, I don't know. I just feel like it's major trolling time here with Mimas. Any sounds in the couch cavern? No, it's just me groaning while I try to get my hand down there. The fact that I got the pen is actually amazing, though. All right. I think we've had that one on before, that other moon. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I hate saying it. At least Mimas is easy to figure out how to say. This one, Ipitus, moon. Ipitus. Okay. Oh, yeah, Ipitus looks like it too, doesn't it? Saturn. Oh, interesting. Well, we got two Death Stars. It's not as close as Mimas, but it's close. So I don't know if you remember, but I used to see the giant landing holes of the meteors didn't have little dots in the middle. So apparently now it does. Ooh, look, somebody else was also describing Ipitus as the Death Star. So what's up with that, with the dots in the middle of the landing holes? Oh, I think this is why, because Ipitus has a lot of these, and Mimas just has one. It's like smooth all the way around, and then they're just like one, and it is the same size as the Death Star. Let's see. Was Ipitus the one? Yeah, Ipitus has that weird ridge, too. Like, it was put together like a ping pong ball, which is also pretty weird. See this weird ridge on it? All of this stuff's come up in the last couple years, too, so very fishy. So, yeah, it looks like it has the chicken pox. And it's like a cheap ping pong bowl that's been cobbled together by China that doesn't have really good quality molds. And it has this fabrication line on it. I mean, I don't know. I'm just making up stuff. I mean, I'm just making up storylines, but I don't know what storyline is going to really come out. But this is, in my opinion, mighty fishy right here. Iapetus. Okay, Iapetus. Good, you did a better job than Wiki. I get some killer shots of the moon with iPhone XS, a cheap spotting scope from Big 5. So I'm assuming you mean our moon. The ink thing has now a left leg. It was not like this before. The ink thing. I don't know what we're talking about there. Richard Hoagland would have talked about it. So we're talking about some Mars thing? It's like they took the same image and used a different coloring technique for the Death Star, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I mean, they're so close. Gorby looks like hell. You mean talk about Gorbachev? Gorbachev. And you guys got tons of Mandelas. Good thing I didn't have too many. Are you talking about the current Gorbachev or like even back then? He looks a little fat-faced. I thought he had a bit more hair, too. I don't know. It does look a little... There's something different about the hair, I would say. I mean, there's not a huge difference, but... He has more of a... This was him before... I don't know. There's something just about the hair. There's just, it's not quite, it's not huge, but I mean, almost everybody's changed. My face has changed, so I wouldn't say it's any greater change than my own face. That's a 60-mile high wall. Yeah, that little mold mark on Iapetus. The meteor impacts, melts the surface, and the fluid rock rebounds and makes that peak. Could be, but it just wasn't there before. I didn't used to see those. Ping pong is a code for Hollywood pedos. Oops. Well, sorry. I didn't mean Hollywood pedos when I said it. You know, when I say napkin, I just mean a napkin. And when I say ping pong, I just mean like a ping pong. Just in case anybody ever wonders. There's no secret meetings. Hoagland definitely would have included Mimas if it existed. This is an ME. Look at these pics. Shari is like loaded with links today. You know, the stain looks kind of raised now, and I also don't remember spots going all the way down like that. At this angle, I don't remember there being any spots like these dots. It was... I remember this stain looks more like a nasty rash. So yeah, he's got spots coming down now. Oh yeah, see, now if I made the image bigger, I would have seen that. I don't remember those spots. So I think that the rash or the spot was a little more pointy. But I really don't remember these drippy spots. And I'm looking on my small screen, but when I look on the big screen, they're a lot more obvious. Yeah, you could see them on there. So let me make it bigger. So yeah, the spots here, here, and here. I don't remember that. I'm really not sure on the overall shape, but the feel of it is more lumpy. And I do not remember these spots. His spot has continental drift. There was no two-part splash. Exactly, the whole spot was like contained in one spot. Rotund, yeah, his face looks kind of fattier. So some of those are even young, when he was younger, and they still look different. All right, let's see. I'm almost done. I think I only have one left. But it's kind of a long one, so let me close off some stuff here. The computer, knock on wood, is holding up nicely, but I would like to start Google Earth. And that, where's it coming? That is always a bit of a challenge for the computer. It's thinking about loading. Everything has been changing. Like, I was listening to David Bowie's song Life on Mars, and the end is a statement, not a question. Is there a question now? Is there? Well, I'm not sure. I'd have to listen to it. There's a lot of little things. It looks like Alaska Island's map on his head. That's very ironic, Shari, because I was just going to cover the Alaska Islands. There's a lot of little things that have changed in my town. Haven't seen anything in the house lately, but the other thing that has happened yet again is that these emails, my business emails, stuff shows up from 3 days ago. So 2 days ago, I did all my emails and I checked them all the way back, going back 6 days from 2 days ago. So it was eight days ago to 2 days ago. I checked all my emails, or my messages basically on Etsy. I checked them all. Now, once you check them, then it changes from bold to like regular font to let you know that they've been checked. And you have the option of making it back into bold, like unread. So I look at every last one for the past 6 days to make sure I have responded to every last one of them. And you can see the first few lines of the message, so that makes it easy. Or if they just said, okay, thanks, something like that. So I'm like, either it's got to be me responding or them saying, okay, thanks. If I go back 6 days, I've got all of them responded to. And I've been doing this now because weird stuff's been happening. So again, today, 2 days ago, I checked every message going back 6 days ago. And then I checked today, and there's an unread message from 3 days ago. Okay, so how does that happen? How do I not see anything for 3 days? So there it is. I've answered every email that's more recent than it, but I have not answered this message from 3 days ago. I've never seen it before. So it's like it materialized there 3 days after the fact. That message has materialized, and this keeps happening. So now I'm 3 days late answering this freaking email. So that's why I had started going back 6 days. Even if it says I read every last one of them, I double check to make every last still is happening. So, and that happened on my email too, but it was for personal emails, but still it's like, I could see myself missing on my personal emails because I don't go back 6 days checking every last email, but I am doing it on my business. So either Etsy is slipping in craps 3 days later, or something. I don't know, but it's just making me crazy. What the hell, Google Earth, start! Now I'm did I curse myself by saying that? Do I have to be on the page to make it work? Is that it? Yeah, that's it. I hate it when it's like that. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't do any work unless I'm staring at it. So that's the weirdest thing that's been happening in the business area. There's been some minor shifts. Oh, coyote claws. Coyote claws have changed. Like this week, I saw it. Like 4 days ago I saw it. So coyote's claws used to be a normal claw shape. And then suddenly, and I drill a lot of coyote claws, so I really notice this because I do it multiple times a week. So I go to drill them a couple days ago. Instead of being the normal curve, they have this little secondary curve right here that comes in like this. And then an addition, the regular curve. So there's now this little hook that comes in like this on the claw. It's pretty hard to, let me see if I can find it. It's hard to get a good image of it. It's a subtle little thing, but it was definitely not there before. So the first one I saw, I'm like, oh, there's like a mistake in it or something. I need a real close-up one. Darn it, and not all of these are showing it. All right, here, I think this shows it. See this hook right here? This hook was not there before. You can see it really clearly in this one. Now, all of the claws that I have the hook that I can see. I think that's it, maybe here, but it's right here. This secondary hook comes around. So the first time I picked up one, I'm like, well, that one has a busted part coming out. And then I pull another one, I'm like, well, that one has a busted part coming out. But then I look closely, I'm like, it's not busted, it's just in there. So every one of my claws has this now, this secondary bit. And it's the same batch of claws I bought. You know, I've been selling claws, coyote claws, for like 10 years. I think this one's showing it too. And here's the funny part. This is my image from my store. And so, and there's the claw with it on there. And I'm telling you, there's never been a claw with this, but now my own images have it. You can see it on there. There's a little bit on here. They all have it now. So that's just a switch for this week. Them claws. There's been a couple of other little shifts in a couple of the other bones, but this one is definitely this week. Okay, so what's going on here? I was looking at Hawaiian Islands. Let's find America. Burp. There we are. I don't know what got started on it, but Hawaiian Islands. So I've said before, I think there's more islands in the Hawaiian Island chain. Come along. Okay, so the main island, Honolulu. So yeah, I remember Honolulu, but there's just a bunch. I'm like, Lihue? I don't remember Lihue. Oh, that's Kauai. Okay, Kauai. Wait. This one, I think that's one I didn't remember. I do remember Kauai. Man, it's not like, okay, Ni Hao. Ni Hao is definitely one I said before I didn't remember. Now, what's this thing? This thing has showed up since I first saw Ni Hao. I don't remember that thing. And it looks like a weird little mouth. So a lot of the islands that are showing up, so Ni Hao and Lihua, that one wasn't on there before last time I looked at Ni Hao. Back out. Kauai was there. Oahu was there. Lanai. That one's a newer one for me, like the last 5 years. Maui was there. I don't remember Kahulawe. And these are getting pretty big. I mean, some of these islands are a lot of miles across. Main island was there. Hawaii. All right, so what else, though? That I think I covered, except for that little mouth-shaped one, which is new. So all of these are coming up. I think we're going to start seeing these. Just past Kauai here and Ni Hao in the mouth, which is right there. These look like they're coming up. And this one here is like just about up. These are really close to being like surfacing the water now. So if you look at this one, there's a little bite here. And Nihoa sounds like Nihao. So Nihoa has a little bit on it. Not yet do we see any structures on here, but so this is what, 700 feet is that distance. So how much till we get to a mile? I think this was like, what, 2 miles or something? No, 600 feet. All right, so that's 10 miles, 5 miles. I don't know why they don't switch to miles until they get to 10 of them. 5 miles, 2.5 miles. So that looks like it's about a mile across right now. That thing. And there's not any buildings on it at all. You'd think that some rich guy would own this thing and put a nice little house on it or something. There's no roads on this. I don't know if they're going to say it's protected or what, but Nihoa. So that one's in, and it looks like it might be the only one, though. But I think we're going to see more on here. All right, so look, this chain is going to go, I think, all the way, all the way. It looks like one might be showing up here. So we're getting a little bit of action over here. That looks like, what, a half mile? Little something going on over here. Does it have a name yet? So what, you got a half mile long island, but no name. Doesn't look like there's any structures on it. No roads. Some green stuff. Looks like some trees along the edges there. What, no name though. No name at all. I think, well, it'll get a name though. I think these are like hot off the presses. Looks like there might be one right here also. Now that one has a name. Interesting. Even though it's smaller than all the rest by a long haul. Kao. Kao. Oh, that's going to be one of those circle ones with the water in the middle. Man, that's a high quality photo right there. Okay, a little better, a little better. Okay, so it has a name. Looks like it's mostly sand. That one has a name, but those big ones don't. Okay, whatever. So anyway, looks like we're going to go. There's Hawaii. Then some more of the Hawaiian Islands. It looks like we're going to go all the way over here. And then all the way along here again. These are all coming in. There wasn't like these, all these. Look at that one, looks like a man. I think all of these are going to become islands in here. Like they're going to come up. Here's another one. So we're going to have a lot of islands. So we're going to get a chain like here. Here to here's another batch of them, all connecting up to Japan. It looks like stuff's coming up there, but it's a little further behind. These aren't as close to the surface. Palau is here, so let's see. Somewhere around there is Guam also. Oh, here's Guam. So we're going to have it attached from Guam all the way to Japan Islands. I think Guam has gotten bigger too, because I think Guam's going to have to stay like a really big compared to the others, at least for a while. So then Oh, what did I just do? I don't want to go to booking.com. Oh, okay. I think we can just get off of there. There we go. All right, there's Australia. Somehow we've gotten all twisted around. Australia's shape looks so different. I forget which end is up, but I got to remember those horns are at the top. Okay, so we're getting like this stuff is getting huge in here. So I don't know if you remember when this all was first coming in, it was like just this big compared to Australia. Australia was big and there was just like, it only covered like this much area. But now look at it. It's huge. This Kalimantan in here has gotten huge. All of this has grown. So Philippines was the big stuff before, but now look at all this. This is all the big stuff now. Papua New Guinea is huge. It's like way bigger than New Zealand even. I think we're going to have islands all connecting all the way down through here. 10 gajillion islands in there. Then you come over here to United States. And then we have Alaska, all these gajillion million islands connecting over to there. So this line is getting huge. So, you know, I said a couple years ago that there's a lot of islands coming in, but so when this first showed up, there was just a few, and then they got to here, but it looks like a bunch have come up further out. So we've got what islands all the way out here: Adak, Atka, Nikolsky, Unalaska, Akutan, Unimak. So yeah, all of these are very new. And look, it goes all the way out to here. Atu Station, Nikolskoy, something Russian sounding. So pretty much we have attachment now. I think we'll get more in here. We have attachment all the way over here to Russia from Alaska now. So before I was saying, oh, when it ices up here, you could walk across. But now we have this where, I mean, ocean goers could just hop from island to island fairly safely through here. Then we're going to have the attachment here. It looks like there's going to be a big island chain here. So what we're getting, 10, look at all the islands in there coming up. That's just utterly crazy. It doesn't look like too many are up yet, but boy, they're getting close, like right in here. There's going to be like, so what do we got? The whole, like 2/3 of this back part of the planet. We've got the continents all squished onto one side of the earth. And this is going to be like the island, everything over here. Look at all through here. Then you got all these weird streaky lines, which weren't here long ago, but we've commented on those, and those keep changing. So I don't know if those are supposed to be like where they put down cables or what, but it's all scratched up in there. And it's, what's this with this giant scratched up square? I mean, this never explained. More squares, all this crap under here. What is all this crap? They never, you know, they put it right there on the map, and there's never any explanation to what all that scratching is on the, supposedly in the deep sea area. Look at all that. There's way more than there was. I mean, like, how many cables do you need from Hawaii? Look at, there's got to be 100 scratch marks in there. Oh, Hawaii's popular. Look at that mess. And they never, I mean, I'm assuming that's just buried cable lines, but who the heck knows? Now, if you look at the map of buried cable lines, it doesn't really look like this, though. So, you know, like, what's this mess over here? Straight. And then, this is just, I don't know what's going on, but it's really fat over here. I mean, is it dredgings? Are they like dredging for corals? I mean, but how wide is that? I mean, let's see. Okay. So let's look at the width across here. So these lines here That's 60 miles, so that would be like 30. So that these miles are these are like 15 miles wide in here. So I mean, there's no way that they made a 15-mile wide dredging for a cable line. There's no freaking way. So what made these scrape marks 15 miles wide? All even like this. And you can see smaller ones in here, but I mean, there's no way. So what did all that? They never explain it. And, you know, more of these show up, the more shifts we have. All right, let's see how these ones now. How deep are these? All right, so that's about 15 miles there also. What is all this baloney? If anybody knows, let me know, because I have yet to find any explanation for these scratch marks. And I mean, you would think that that would be common news. Anyway, so islands coming in and creepy scratch marks. Looks like I lost my creator studio. Which means I'll have lost a lot of the chat, I think. Anyway, so that's about it. 3 hours of yapping. Mandela Island. Lanny is new. Not to me, anyway. Oh, isn't new. I don't know. There weren't that many. Pineapple Lanny? I've not heard of that. Lanai, I think it is. There must be multiple copies of reality with variations with multiple copies of us connected by an oversoul. I don't know, maybe. That's one of my theories, certainly. There are now maps showing Lemuria, Atlantis, and Mu on them. I mean, are they old maps that have that on there? Or is it just like new agey maps? I haven't had calls, voicemails, or even a ring and miss all kinds of communications. Yeah, not only humans are going through anatomy changes, definitely. It's really kind of in your face if you've been dealing with an item for like 5 years and then suddenly all of them grow a little part on them. And it's always the same. I'm like, oh, that one's broken because it looks weird. And then I look on like they all have it. Okay, how many times has that happened in the last couple of years? Wouldn't it be weird if a message appeared and it was one that you had answered to? Yeah, I guess that would be worse. Like, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember talking to that guy. I don't remember promising him that. There are days when my sisters call me on Skype or FaceTime and it won't show in my call history. Then in the middle of the night, my cell phone calls and shows the calls. Yeah, you know, it's just that it never used to do that in Etsy. So I don't know what's going on. And literally they're showing days later. So it definitely sucks. Maybe it's Mecha Godzilla. You know, even Godzilla is not 15 miles wide. Okay, you gotta really process it. I mean, Godzilla is the size of a couple of, like, maybe he has the footprint of like 1.5 large skyscrapers. So it's definitely not 15 miles. It's just a couple blocks. Godzilla is only a couple blocks fat. You really got to wrap your head around that. It's like 15 minutes of driving, you know, or something. It's a lot. So a mile is like 4 times around the track, okay? So think of 4 times around the track, 15 miles, so 60 times around the track wide. That is a lot. Indonesia was small, single landmass way up by Thailand. Yep. Too many islands, not enough Gilligan. You know, I'm not against the Unalaska was the tip. Okay, good to know. That's about right. approximately how I remember, but I didn't actually look at it. I don't mind there being a bunch of islands. That'd be really cool if we could all have like our own little islands and stuff. If we improve flight, if they have like anti-grav or something, so it got much easier, cheaper to fly, then we could bop around to our own little islands. It'd be really snazzy. I could totally see a cool world like that. So I'm not against the arrival of the islands. If there's enough of them, then they could keep the price down. Anytime there's an earthquake or tsunami, we get earth changes. I'm wondering how the La Paloma volcano will change the area. My hubby said UFOs using electromagnetic tools made those. They were drilling sites. Yeah, it looks like scraping sites or something. But yeah, who knows? I don't know. I mean, like any story is good as another. They magically showed up. So, I mean, anything could be true. If something magically poofs into existence, then any other total whack-doodle storyline that describes it is not going to be any weirder than them magically poofing into existence. Yeah, I know, it's 3:03. I'm coming down the home stretch. Roger from Mud Fossils University can shed some light. I don't know. Mud fossils just showed up a couple years ago, so... Spaceship life. I mean, all of those even sound less weird than the fact that they magically showed up by magic. And they keep changing. I was looking at those lines like 2 years ago, and there was just a few of them. Now there's a cajillion of the freaking things. And hardly anybody talks about them. I mean, where's the mainstream explanation for these 15-mile wide scrapey lines everywhere? Boy, they sure like Hawaii. They get the scrapey line Hall of Fame over there. Okay, well, anyway, I think I'm finally done. Thank you, especially Shari, for coming up with a cajillion Mandelas. I think I've got everything I wanted to say. Man, I'm just not doing good with that pen today. Saturn's moon, islands. Okay. Dum, 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 dum. Why was I even looking at that? I actually had this weird dream that I was looking at a map and it said Pacific Ocean over there to the west of California. And then it said, above that, it said Raquel. Like Roquelle. And I'm like, Raquel, what's that? In the dream, I'm like, what's Raquel? So then I got on the map to look and see what Raquel was. And I saw like all that stuff by Alaska. And I'm like, I mean, I've been kind of watching that for a while. And I have no idea if that was supposed to be Raquel. But in my dream, that was like Pacific Ocean here. And then Raquel was over here. Oh, I remember more of the dream now. So the dreams I was on this island that was kind of like really rocky with water, and it had this weird internal water slides that was sort of like, I don't know, like in a mountain maybe or something. Like there was rock and there was water slides. And then somebody was telling me that was on an island that was part of Canada, but it was near Hawaii, so the weather was better. And then I saw this Raquel thing, so that's why I was checking it out, because so like that's why I was like, okay, well, Hawaii, follow the scrapey lines. You can never forget where Hawaii's now is, because look, there's 10,000 scrapey lines to it. So I'm like, okay, it's near Hawaii, but it's near Canada, so there's Canada. And there's Hawaii. So if it was in here, it could be like Canadian. There's where the Pacific Ocean is written there. But in my map and my brain, it was over here. So like in here would be Raquel. I don't know. I don't know if it's coming true or what. But it was kind of a realistic dream. So that's why I was looking to start with. Had to scrape that in there. Raquel Welch is the only sort of Raquel. Yeah, it was like rocks, R-O-C-K, but it was R-O-Q-U-E-L. I wasn't sure on the spelling, to be frank, but Roger from Mud Fossil University is awesome. I was there with him with the start. right, while finding a bunch of mud fossils. Okay, well, anyways, it's getting late, and thank you, Shari, especially, and everybody else for coming up with a bunch of stuff. Very much appreciate it, and it is getting very late. So think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.